Hey everybody, I'm back. It's been a little while, and it's been a little while because I haven't bought a darn thing. I tried. I've ventured out again. I don't live in an area where there's a bunch of comic shops. There's no flea markets. There's not a lot of cool stuff around me to buy comics. The things we have, I tell you what. So I went to my local comic shop to buy books, obviously. And half the store was like cut off. He had like made like a little barrier with long boxes and just stuff he had there. And his wall books were in the back, unaccessible, and his all his back issues, what he calls the vintage comic collection, was in the back. It's basically just new stuff up front, and a couple random boxes of quarter books. And I'm like, hey man, doing some reorganizing? Yeah, I'm doing some reorganizing. Oh, okay. Kind of wanting to peruse the vintage books, just, maybe find some bronze, see what you got in there. Well, yeah, I mean, it'll be ready in like a couple weeks. Couple weeks. I am continue to be astonished by this businessman. Customer walk through door, say, I will spend money. I will give you this money from my wallet. Give me paper goodness. Give me comic books. He says, not today. Okay, fair enough. So I've been doing that for a couple weeks now. I've gone and I bought my new books, a few that I buy, and no back issues, no nothing. Bummer. I went to my vintage toy place that also sells comics, looking for some goodies, anything. It was getting to the point where I just wanted to buy stuff. You ever get like that? You're just like, I need a hit, I need a fix, I need some books. And I had to pull myself away from buying some overpriced wall books because I wanted them, but I know I can find them cheaper. And frankly, I don't have the kind of money to spend big money on wall books, key comics. I just didn't have the cash. So again, I was not going to make another video this week, and then sadly, this is a little downer video. Sadly, Steve Ditko passed away. I'm sure majority of people watching this video are well versed on Steve Ditko. Quick rundown for those of you who haven't. Steve Ditko is the co-creator of Spider-Man, or the creator of Spider-Man, depending on which story you believe. At the very least, he is the co-creator of Spider-Man, creator of Doctor Strange, and a host of other characters, but those are his two most popular characters. And the man is a bit of a recluse. He was a bit of a recluse. He left Spider-Man, most popular series possibly in the world at that time in the 60s, over ideological differences with Stan Lee and the editorial staff at Marvel. And he continued to work in comics until his death. He's 90 years old and he passed away. And he came back to Marvel even and just kind of did work for hire. He was never interested in fame. There's tons of articles on Steve Ditko. Very interesting guy, but he never did interviews. He let his work speak for him. Very much subscribed to the Ayn Rand philosophy of the individual being the most important. I'm butchering that whole thing. Go read Anthem. If you had high school, I'm sure you had to read Anthem. It's in there. Anyway, just a unique character. He never sought fame. All this Spider-Man, he was not one of those people that sued for ownership or money from Marvel or Disney once these Spider-Man movies were making billions of dollars. Just didn't do anything about it. He just went about his day. Kept making comic books up until the day he died. Crazy. So I was just going to showcase a few of the Steve Ditko books I have. I have very few Steve Ditko books. I enjoy his art. It's good. But he just wasn't my favorite. And I never sought out a lot of his work. I would love to get his Amazing Spider-Man stuff, but that's hundreds, if not thousands of dollars that I don't have. So I'm going to showcase 10 books that I've got here that are my Steve Ditko stuff, and they're fun. They're cool stuff. I'm going to start off with a 4-issue series. I think this is only 4 issues, and I think I might have shown these books in a previous video, but it's my channel. If you don't like it, that's fine. That sounded far more hostile than I wanted. I apologize. All right. Steve Ditko featured in this fine book, Time Warp #1. This is an anthology sci-fi title from DC. I love this comic. I got 4 issues. I think there's only 4 issues. If I was a better person, I would have looked it up online before I made this video to confirm. But I think there's only 4 issues. If you like Ray Bradbury style science fiction, this whole series is kind of that vein. A lot of great creators involved in these books. Denny O'Neil, Paul Levitz, Mike W. Barr, on and on and on, and Steve Ditko. If you find these books, they're not expensive. Maybe in high grade they're $5-10, but if you're going through the dollar bins, pick these up. These are so good. So I got Time Warp #1, Time Warp #2. It's some old bags and boards. Need to rebag these suckers. Time Warp #3. Now I've got that stupid Time Warp song in my head from Rocky Horror. Jeez, I couldn't even think of it. From Rocky Horror. Not a Rocky Horror fan, but now the Time Warp's going to be stuck in my head. And Time Warp #4. I really want to do a high-pitched version of Time Warp, but I'm not going to subject you to that, people. Okay. So, like I say, Steve Ditko, after he had his big falling out with Marvel, he came back and just did really random series. He did, he never did Spider-Man again that I'm aware of. I don't think he ever drew Spider-Man again. But he did work in books that featured Spider-Man, like Marvel Team Up 101. In the back of this one, he's got a solo Nighthawk story. Just random. Just the assignments he either asked for or they gave him were the most random comics. Like, he has nothing to do with Nighthawk. Why are they drawing Nighthawk? I don't know. Just did it. He showed up. They gave him money. I don't know. It's weird. But a cool story. It's a cool Nighthawk story in here. It was one of those books that I was just flipping through one day, and I was like, oh my god, there's a Steve Ditko story in here. Crazy. And of all the stories you're going to hear about Steve Ditko, I never heard anyone telling... Yeah, speaking is hard for me today. I never hear anyone saying that Steve Ditko had an amazing sense of humor. I've always very serious man. That is a very strong moral center. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and never the two shall meet. But he did work on one of my favorite comic books, What the #1 from Marvel, 1988. This is just a parody book. Marvel just poking fun at themselves, and Steve Ditko's got a weird... I think it's Secret Wars Part 3, making fun of the whole Secret Wars comics. And it's just a wacky, drawn, like he's doing like a real exaggerated art style. It doesn't look like his Steve Ditko stuff at all. It's a really cartoony. I know it's comic books, but you know what I mean. Just weird. It's a weird entry into the Steve Ditko run. So pick that up to find it. Then I have books that are near and dear to me for no other reason that they're just 70s wacky fun. I've shown these books before, I know, at least the first one here. Atlas Comics, Marvel Comics, weird little cousin. The Destructor, #1. They made 4 issues of this comic. This comic's fine. Archie Goodwin writes the first couple. They're actually not bad comics. You can tell they're not giving their full effort, but it's fun. If you like Marvel in the 70s and 60s, this is a fun little side note. So, again... it pained me to pull these books out of long boxes because I got Destructor #1. Again, 4 issues in this series. And Destructor #3. Weird cover. Strange characters. And Destructor #4. I do not have Destructor #2, which I knew in the back of my head, but then it's just reaffirmed to me right now that I am missing a comic out of a 4-issue run, and it's driving me crazy. To the point that I may go on eBay yet tonight and try to find one for under $5. We'll see. Destructor. And last but not least, the one good, like, sought-after Ditko book I probably have, like the one, well, it's one of my nice key books, and I don't think I've ever really shown it off. Years ago, I acquired this guy, and it's in really nice shape. Amazing Spider-Man King Size Annual #2 from 1965. Silver Age Spidey, man. 1965. Such a cool year for Spidey, for Marvel. This is these square-bound comics. It's all in good shape. It's not falling apart. Really doesn't show up that well on camera, but take my word for it. Got a Doctor Strange story in here. This is one of my nice key books that I have, and Steve Ditko cover. Thanks, Steve. You'll be missed. And that's all I got. I've bought nothing. Been enjoying watching a lot of people's videos. Read Comics 81. Been putting out some amazing stuff. I don't know where he finds these books. Silver Age Dave just pumps out these videos like every hour, it seems. Go-To Geeks always have good stuff. A lot of good channels out there, but I appreciate you stopping by mine. Thank you. Like, subscribe. Tell some more people to subscribe. I'd appreciate it. All right, everybody. Hopefully I'll be back next week with something. Yeah, that's all I got. What a terrible ending. Take care, everybody.